What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and Glockoma. And Glock, we jumped on late, so they get to hear us lament live. I was on the right side of that Mavericks game. I do not care. Like, they missed so many open shots. It played out exactly how I expected, right?
Yep,
And they just
exactly.
couldn't drop them, and they just couldn't drop the shots. And it's not like, for example, on the Nets game, right? That KD shot that he missed at the end. I mean, that was some of the best defense we've seen all year. We the people, close your ears. But some of the best defense we've seen all year, right? It doesn't surprise me that he missed that shot. These guys were missing wide open looks, man. They had an excellent opportunity to steal game one. They couldn't get it done. I was pretty upset. I know you were feeling even worse, but this is a safe space. Before we get into tonight, we got to let it all out. Man, how did you feel watching that? Because I'll tell you what, that really put a damper to start my Saturday.
Yeah, I know. I'm not upset about, how the game went. I think our guys, the Mavs specifically, put up a good fight. Like you said, you held the number one offensive rated team under 100 points, and they kept stressing this in the press conference. Like, anytime you can do that, you give yourself a chance to win. They just didn't knock down, enough open shots. And just listening to their post game press conferences, they followed the game plan to a T. They wanted to run the Jazz off the 3-point line and not give Rudy Gobert a ton of offensive rebounds and putbacks. Rudy Gobert had one field goal attempt, 5 raw points, all from the free throw line. Granted, he had 15 rebounds, but still, like, I would say that's a success, on the Rudy Gobert side. And then the Jazz, they attempted 22 threes while they averaged 40 in the regular season. And so, from a game plan perspective, I feel like the Mavs did a good job. They just couldn't knock down the open shots, like you said. And, when they're giving up the mid range willingly, that's obviously where Bogdanovich eats, right? He's really good at posting you up, hitting that mid range jumper. And he was definitely on fire. And one thing I noticed, like, it was always the guards on him, right? A smaller
Mm-hmm.
guard like Dinwiddie or Brunson. Usually Bogdan is Luka's guard, and he's big enough to body him up and just kind of give him a hard time, whether so Bojan can't like shoot over him. So it'll be interesting to see like whether or not they move like Reggie or Dorian Finney-Smith over to guard Bojan, and the other guy will obviously guard Donovan Mitchell, because it does feel like Conley's like the third offensive option, right? And we'll talk about it later from a DFS perspective, but the playoffs is all about, can you take away that first option? If so, that second and third option's got to make them pay, right? I mean, you see the same thing with Embiid going into Harden and Maxey, right? Maxey went off that first game because Toronto was just heavily focused on Embiid. So, yeah, I mean, from that perspective, I wasn't too sad. It was a great game to watch for sure, even, despite the low total. I think we will expect to see more of the same here. It's just, if I think the Mavs can put up the same defensive fight, which I think they do, and then if they can knock down those open shots, because they had a ton, like you said, they just didn't go down. And the sad part for me is, another game without potentially Luka Doncic. And obviously, it's hindsight's 2020, but if we had him in the first game, I think it's a win. Like,
Yeah.
Luka's
I
the
thought
leading scorer,
I watched
rebounder,
the
assister.
first three quarters. I thought the Mavericks were going to win straight up, and I was
Yeah.
sitting there. Why didn't I put the money line on the sheet? Why didn't I bet the money line? Like, this is playing out exactly like how I expected. Credit to Donovan Mitchell, and we'll get
Yeah.
more into that here
Yep.
just in a bit. But hey, if Dallas gets the win tonight, I still feel like it's a
They have to.
victory
They have to, I
going
think.
back 1-1 to Utah. So, Tyler, we had an exciting week in the NBA ball. Of course, Glock and I are going to be worried about the Mavericks, but overall, some of your takeaways, maybe from yesterday too, because we'll be getting into all those Saturday games today. But boy, I mean, entertainment wise, I don't think we're going to be able to top. I mean, you open like that, how are you going to top that, right? That'd be like if you're a metal band and Metallica went on, and then they're like, "Okay, it's your turn now." Like, oh really? Oh, okay, like we'll go ahead and follow that up. What a game one in Boston, and what were your thoughts about the NBA playoffs this weekend?
Yeah, just to touch on that Dallas matchup, how he said we got to move Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith around. I think you got to force Royce O'Neal to beat you here. Like, they just got to leave him wide open in the corners. If he beats you with corner threes and everything,
He
So
hit that. He hit the only
yeah.
shot he hit
did
was
that.
the
Yeah.
most clutch shot of the
That's gotta
game.
be the guy that beats you all game,
Yeah.
though. Like, you gotta. I know Rudy's gonna get stopped because of their defensive schemes. They have the bodies to slow Mitchell down, but you can't let Bogdanovich beat you up from the mid range. Yeah, but that Boston game spread, I mean, does it get any better than that?
Yeah.
I mean,
so awesome.
it looked like it was over one way, then it looks like it's over the other way, and then Kyrie shoots them right back into it. And then it looks like the Nets are gonna win, and then Tatum rolls to the hoop. And what a play by Smart to not shoot that three.
Yeah.
And cut in. And KD just flat out fell asleep on that play. Did you rewatch it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's just standing
They're
there.
joking around his controller.
Tatum just kind of walked right past him and just went right to the hoop. So it's interesting to see how that series plays out, though.
I mean, okay, so Tatum, right? I've always known he's a good defender, and like in my range, he's like above average.
He had very
watch him on KD. He looked like defensive player of the year, bro.
I mean, just the active hands all over that defense. Every time the guys went for shots, they were reaching their hands in there, pulling the ball out. I mean,
he made things tough, and KD couldn't get by him.
How about Chicago finding a defensive scheme a little bit in that game and coming back?
I mean,
or was it just the Bucks falling asleep?
They did this last year too.
The latter.
They are the most of all the good teams, right? The real championship contenders. They have to be the most inconsistent.
They're like a Great Dane puppy that has giant paws and can't run because it just trips over them every time it picks up speed.
Yeah, I mean, some nights they're just marksmen, and they did this last year. There was so many games where they didn't play well, and boy, I mean, talk about an opportunity. Feels like the Bulls missed an opportunity there. However, we didn't really expect much from the Bulls, right? I was texting you in the first 20 minutes, like, this is stupid. Why is this team even in the playoffs? Right?
Just end this now.
So credit to the Bulls for that one. And what else did we have yesterday? Yeah,
Miami beat up on the Hawks.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us seen that coming. Other guys thought the Hawks had a chance.
I think
Trey scared me. I should have bet that.
Yeah.
What'd you think there, Glock?
No, yeah, I think like so far the playoffs have gone the way majority of us have expected. I think on the Friday show we were kind of shilling, the Timberwolves over Memphis. At least me and AP were.
I wasn't, so credit there.
Yeah, so they got the dub there. But apart from that, I mean, I feel like the playoffs are going the way they're supposed to go. There hasn't been that much surprises. Obviously, we'll talk about the games later tonight, but yeah,
Minnesota had to be the biggest surprise, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's Minnesota.
So I can't wait till tomorrow. But hey, Glock, just because we're not going to have you on tomorrow, like, how are you leaning there? I think that Memphis has bounced back. But I'll be honest, man, if I'm wrong on that, I wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, what it comes down to me is this, and this from playing DFS, right? How many times has Anthony Edwards, and I don't know what his DFS total score was that day because I didn't play him.
Yeah.
Was that Saturday? I still won that day.
Saturday.
Too. Yeah. I'm in cash using the heat map and everything, but I didn't have Edwards. But how many times does he follow up like a 60 or 70 point performance with a dud? He's not the most consistent guy.
Yeah, he's super boom bust, but in the playoffs he's been boom. Like
but let's see how
been lights out. Yeah,
let's see if he can keep to do it because I actually wrote about this before we came on, and I said really his next step in his development, the skills there. I mean, the attitude's definitely there. It's consistent performances. We need it every night, right?
All three of those guys tend to disappear here and there. I mean, Cat did it in the play-in game, and then you had D'Lo do it this past game.
Yep.
There's going to be a game where all three of them just don't show up, and they're going to get ran right off the floor.
I think D'Lo's the easiest one to absorb, though. I'm fine with him not having a big game. I think he's smart enough. He knew, hey, it's not my night. Feed the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's become excellent as far as like a team leader and everything. So,
but
do you expect Memphis to bounce back?
Yeah, I think so. They're at home. Ja posted that Instagram clip of Michael Jordan in the last game.
Is that good or bad, man? I don't even know if I should be hyped when people are doing that.
I personally think, they lost, right? So in my opinion, probably stay off social media, but the fans love Ja. They love any interaction they can get. So,
and what he was out for that period of time before the end of the season. They brought him back the last game. And that was kind of like you tuned him up there. So, and then you're off a week.
He still had 32-8.
Yeah, but you could say that was their first game where he was really like back with the guys and like integrated into the system. And now they might get back to how they looked earlier in the year.
I mean, he was on his way to a slate breaking performance at half. Like if you had Ja Morant at halftime, he had like 19, 5, and 5 at half or something close to that. And you were feeling real good if you rostered Ja Morant as like a kind of not a top tier spend because Jokic and Embiid were on the slate as well. But you took the discount with Ja and he was looking great. So he kind of slowed down definitely in the second half. But yeah, I mean, I expect a Memphis bounce back here, 1-1, go to mini, and then, play it out from there. But I think both of these teams are going to play each other super, super close. Like, I think it's going 7 games no matter what, personally.
Yeah, We the People says, how is that bad as far as the barking on social media? And hey, maybe this is a bad analogy, but like when I worked as like a bouncer, we were never really scared of the guys yapping all the time, right? The guys were really scared of, the guys that kept quiet and just held themselves with confidence. Like those were the guys who were like, hey man, don't let that guy get loose because you know what I'm saying. So we'll see. It's just my thing. Sometimes I hate the barking. I'd rather just see it. But I'm old. We the People. I'm old. I'm 45.
Like the Kyrie stuff yesterday. Do you like seeing the fingers, the birds to the fans and stuff like that?
I mean that was back and forth, right? That was the back and forth, and so there we go. SP Jills is in here, and he's looking for you, Tyler. He wants to bank that big parlay for that. I am turning into old man yells at Cloud Otter. So, I mean, I really am. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me, even in my advanced age. So, all right, anything more on the wrap up for the weekend, or you guys want to jump into tonight?
I have one question. I have one question for you guys.
Yeah.
If you need a bucket, a go-to bucket, and we're talking about the Memphis, Minnesota series, would you rather have Anthony Edwards right now or Ja Morant?
Probably Ant. Because
right?
he could shoot the ball better. That's my argument.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Like Ja has to get to the basket to get you that bucket.
And the thing I was thinking, like when I was watching that game, Memphis is down 12, 10 points with like 2 minutes to go or something like that. It's like I have a group text with my friends. I'm like, go dunk the ball, Ja. You'll get 2 points closer. Just keep dunking.
Yeah.
Like he can't just force threes up. I think that's one thing. Like once he can take that to the next level, shoot the ball from long range, then yeah, he'll be good.
And Glock, we're not laughing at you. Our guy Brandon Cola shows up, and he's always got the worst. it's like a running theme with him to do the worst visual impression. So Tyler's
Tony
looking
Snell.
like Tony Snell here.
I always get Tony Snell. I forget what the other one I got was. I think it was like Kwame Brown.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to see you. Maybe in like 10 years, you'll just you're always quiet like Kwame was, and you just come out there and just roast everyone for an hour. I remember the first time I saw him do that. What was that like? Was around Christmas time? We were all sending it to each other. Like I didn't know Kwame was like this.
Somebody pissed in his corner.
Speaking of Tony Snell, he's memed for like the 0-0-0 performances or whatever. How about Jay Crowder last night with the 1-1-1-1 or something like that?
Did he?
They were memeing him hard.
When you do it in the win, though, it doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. We the People's talking about this, and I'll tell you what. Hey, if he backs it up, it's even better. You put yourself in a position. When you start putting these memes out and you're check marking everything, the writing down and all that stuff. So you're mini Bryce Harper there.
I've gotten that one before a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's actually not a bad one. He's pretty popular amongst female Major League Baseball fans. But let's be popular amongst.
Quick drive spread. I can get to Philadelphia and just say I'm Bryce Harper's little brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me know that. I think that's something that Twatty would do. Let him talk to you about that. Hey, you're new to town. Bryce Harper's little brother. I could see that. So let's make ourselves popular with the NBA wagering community tonight by giving out some winners. And now's the game. Okay. We're on here, and hey, I victory lap with the rest of you guys, right? But I take an L on the Toronto. I take an L there, right? I all last week I was up on the Raptors. I love the way they matched up with this team. And they got smacked. I mean, that game wasn't even entertaining at all. Credit to Embiid, credit to Harden, and of course, credit to Tyrese Maxey with his 38 points in the win, right? So I'd be saying, okay, I don't want to overreact to game one. What's funny is I know, you handicap yourself as well. One of my weaknesses is overreacting to game ones, right? So I tell myself, let's not overreact. It's just one game. You have the season-long handicap on the Raptors. But then here's the wrench that got thrown into it. Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent both out. Now, I mean, are they confirmed? I mean, I just handicapped it like they were out. Let me recheck Basketball Monster.
So Scotty is out. Gary Trent is doubtful. Okay. Thaddeus Young is doubtful.
And my guess is that Thad's probably going to be the only one that we possibly see there. He's got a sprained thumb or a finger, and they're trying to wrap it so that he can play. Gary Trent, real sick, missed shoot around altogether from what I read. So I don't know. Maybe we get a flu game out of them. But my point is, a lot of the reason I like the Raptors was their multiple options, their ability to defend. And I thought that Trent was one of those guys that could score for them in the clutch in the half court when they needed a bucket. Now you take this team out, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're still pretty good, right? I mean, I got Van Fleet, I got OG, I got Pascal Siakam, but Scotty Barnes is that X factor guy who I really thought could make a difference in the series. When he went down, it was just like, boy, this game just keeps getting worse here for the Raptors. So because of that, I did not get involved with the Raptors tonight. In fact, I'm leaning towards taking Philadelphia. And my hope here is that I take the minus 7.5. Sixers win by 20 again. And then I can hit the Raptors game 3 because I think it's going to be a completely different story when they're back at home. But I think Philly gets a 2-0 lead tonight. But I definitely want to talk to you guys before I got involved. Tyler, start with you. Philadelphia and the Toronto Raptors. Did the Sixers do it again?
Yeah, I think they win the game again. I mean, that loss of perimeter defense you're losing with Trent and Barnes being out, and maybe even Thad Young, that's an extra body they're taking off the bench. We already know they run a short rotation all year, and it's even shorter in the playoffs. Now you're going to take 3 guys out of it. Like, he's going to try and run these guys to death tonight. You could see some big numbers out of Siakam, Van Fleet, OG, maybe Boucher if he stays out of foul trouble. But I think Boucher is going to foul out again because he's going to be the first body they throw at Embiid, because they're not going to want to foul Siakam out. They're going to try and keep him safe. I think OG is going to have to guard Harden because they're going to probably leave Van Fleet on Maxey. So I think Maxey could have another big game. They have his points plus rebounds set at 22.5. That's hit 5 of his last 5 games, and he's averaging 31 in those games. With no Trent and Barnes, that perimeter defense is going to be hurting, and he averages 27 points plus assists against Toronto in 4 matchups this year. And he's hit that 4 or 5 times. So I'm going to be on that prop, and I like Siakam over 40.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. That hit in 4 of his last 5 games, he's averaging 46. He triple-doubled against Philly in the last regular season game. Barnes had 18 rebounds plus assists in that last game. Not going to be there today. Somebody's got to pick that up. You got to think it's going to be more of him than Boucher and Achinwa, so definitely going to side with Siakam's points plus rebounds plus assists.
Hey, that's an interesting look. Now, Glock, Siakam's a guy that puts up great numbers, and I know in the DFS community, you guys know about him because there's obviously particular matchups that you guys love to play him in. But for a guy that, I've seen him on some people's all-NBA teams, he's never really talked about as a top player in the NBA, right? Tonight, he has an opportunity, right, to really step up on this stage and show, like, hey, I'm a top guy because I don't feel like it right now. My guess is most of the chat doesn't feel like it right now. What do you think of Tyler's breakdown? What do you think of Siakam tonight? How do we approach this game?
Yeah, so I think, the result will remain the same when Philly wins. But, from a DFS perspective, you can't ignore these Toronto Raptors just based on the current injury situation. So, let's just say Trent is out as well and Thad Young. They literally have 9 guys in the rotation, and 4 of them, their names are Armani Brooks, Kem Birch, Malachi Flynn, and Yuta Watanabe.
It's funny. I thought Flynn was going to be good, and I'll take the L on that one too.
He can still be good. I mean, he's shown
a decent
promise.
backup, but he's no playoff backup.
I thought he was going to be like a really good player. I mean, not like, oh, he's a cool backup.
I think he could be good. He just needs a chance to play, and obviously that's not going to happen with Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent in the mix.
Did you think he was impressive though when he was stepping in?
Did.
Like you did? Okay,
I did. Yeah,
I'll step back then.
And anytime he's like a starter, like there was a few times late in the season where Fred VanVleet was out, Malachi Flynn jumps right in, 3K min price on DK, and he would smash. Like he just needs the minutes, and he hasn't been getting the opportunity here. They're just too deep in the guards. Got too many guys that can handle the ball. Like all 4 of their starters, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent, OG, Pascal, and Scotty, or 5 of them actually, they all can handle the ball. So it's like even if Flynn gets out there, he's not going to be able to show what he has. So yeah. Anyways, like to go on to this game, you're going to really have to focus on the Toronto side. You have Chris Boucher, 4.4K on DraftKings, Fred VanVleet, 7.5K, Pascal, 9.2K, OG Anunoby, 5.8. And then depending on who they start, really, I feel like they're going to start Kem Birch. He's 3-2, and anytime he starts, he's like not popular chalk. I think I would prefer that more and just play the pivot of Precious Achiuwa off the bench at a higher tag at 4-3. So yeah, like I think you're going to definitely need multiple Toronto pieces in your lineup. The decision is just like, do you run it back with a Philly guy? And, like Harden is pretty underpriced, but it's like, do you really want to go there? I don't know. I feel like the Toronto Raptors are going to kind of follow the same game plan as they did last game. Double Embiid, make either Harden or Maxey beat them, right? So I think I'm just going to focus personally on the Toronto side. And I actually think Pascal Siakam is like, he's a good tournament play, but I think I prefer the guards more here and like the cheap bigs. Like Fred VanVleet is going to definitely be a priority for me. He averages, 24 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds in a 290-minute sample without Gary Trent and Scotty Barnes. So I think that's great. Pascal, like I said, he's a good play. He averages 24, 7, and 6, in 204 minutes with Fred VanVleet. So both of these guys are going to have huge opportunities tonight. I definitely think you need at least one of them in your lineup, and then you can pair them with, like a Precious or a Chris Boucher. Just we definitely need a starting lineup, and it's nice because it's the first game on the slate, which we'll have, and then that'll give us some more clarity. But yeah, I think you'll definitely need a few pieces from Toronto at the very least, and then if you think it's close, which I personally don't think it will be, then you can run it back with a Philly piece. I prefer not to chase the Maxey performance from last game, but the game plan, I assume, will be similar. Why fix something that isn't broken? I just don't think they want Embiid beating them. They'd rather have Harden and Maxey beating them. So, yeah.
I like the idea of going against the Maxey performance. And we, the people, right, can be contrarian here, too. I think he's kind of thinking the same thing, right? We know that Embiid and Harden's usage, it's going to be pretty consistent. We can count on it, right? That third option is going to be a lot of what the Raptors decide to take away. So rather than chase the Maxey performance, Tyler, we the people went with Tobias 25 plus and win, and he's at plus 800, right? So that's like needs to win 13% of the time for him to be profitable, right? So he's not putting this down as the lock of the year. But I think that's a pretty good idea, and the idea that maybe Nurse is going to look at that, see where Maxey beat him, and then make it incumbent on the Sixers to let somebody else beat them and not just let them beat them in the same way. What do you think of that prop there? Because I think that I like the way that he's thinking on that one.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just that they have the bigger bodies to slow them down to where, like, the guards, they don't have that many guards to bounce those guys around.
I see.
You're really going to move OG off of Harden and let Harden start cooking you? Like, you're probably going to just live with the young guy. And if he hits 25 plus points again, like, so be it. Like, you don't want Harden dropping a 30-point triple-double on you, do you? Like, you probably have to move Van Fleet over there. He's a little short to guard Harden. Like, Harden probably torches him.
Okay. All right. I can see that. Anyways, I like your pick.
But I could definitely see. I could
it's
see
like
it.
I said, plus 800, right? I mean, once you get in those ranges where your percentages are less than 10% of the time.
And Philly does tend to play down in situations like this. Like, we think they should smash. Like, this.
Yeah, I wonder how they deal with
this could be a
expectation.
3-point game come 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Embiid's not getting any foul calls because Nick Nurse complained about it last game. And
did you think he was right in that?
I mean, a little bit, but you know how superstars get calls, so
they're holding the whistles in all these games. They're letting them play for sure.
Except for Boston.
That's true.
Was
the beginning of that
disgusting.
one was pretty bad.
That was wild.
Yeah, 18 fouls and 11 field goals in the first quarter of that Boston game. So he thinks that they move OG to Harden. Okay, I like that. Siakam.
Yeah, that's where I think he's.
I don't know if Siakam goes to Embiid, but I don't know if that matters too much to this cap. Tobias gets the easy look.
I think Siakam's going to be more on Harris because they're not going to want to put one of their better offensive options in foul trouble in the snap of a finger.
That's what I'm thinking too. But I think for his handicap, that doesn't matter.
They're going to start Birch or Boucher, and all their job is going to be is foul him and keep him out of the paint somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. You guys make a good point with that Nurse. Phil Jackson was so good at that, right? At manipulating the refs through the media. Of letting them know, how he wanted things to be changed. And I thought Nick Nurse did it kind of in a similar way. Rather than call them out and say, they suck, he's just like, well, we're not going to have a chance if they call it that way. But I didn't hear any like specific criticism like these guys are bums. They don't deserve, right? I mean, there's a way to do it tactfully, and I felt that he did it. Let's see if it gets the results. So Brandon Cole said a different way to attack that would be going alternate on the threes. Yeah, I mean, I think that these are good ways to look at the game. I think if you go in there and just assume that Maxi's going to drop 38 again or 30 plus just because he had a good game last time, I think that can be a dangerous line of thinking. There will be some adjustments made, especially from one of the best coaches in the NBA. Hold on, everything switched on me. I don't know how I got to a different sheet here, but okay. I got the numbers back up. The Utah Jazz, time for us to commiserate again there, Glock. But I'm going back to the well, man. We talked about it already, and all the things that I just said are the reasons why I felt the game was right there for the taking for Dallas. Donovan Mitchell had an excellent second half. But can I count on him to do that every night? I mean, the guy's been excellent in the playoffs in his career. So maybe I'm just underrating the guy. But boy, I mean, I feel like we are having a completely different show and a completely different way that we're talking about this series if a couple of those 3-pointers drop. And like I said, they were wide open, man. That's something that we even like to do in-game betting, right? We're not just looking at the numbers on the box score. We're watching the game. Are these guys missing wide open shots or are they missing contested shots, right? Is this good defense or is it just bad offense? I felt like the Mavericks were right there, and they've got a great chance to bounce back tonight. I'll start with you, Glock. I'm going to take the Mavericks +5, and I'm assuming you are with me.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you, Spread. Like I said, I don't think much from a game plan perspective is going to change on the Mavs side. I think they're happy with what happened. They limited what they set out to. Like I said, 3-point attempts, lobs to Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert only had 1 field goal attempt, and then the Jazz attempted half of what they average in the game. So I think we'll definitely see more of the same here. And yeah, it just comes down to if the Mavs can hit their open shots. And, we have guys like Josh Green who are just kind of getting spun into the rotation. He had a few wide open looks and didn't hit them.
He shouldn't be out there, I don't think.
they just really have no choice, right? Because they don't have Frank Ntilikina's not there. I mean, you could argue Trey Burke should be out there over Josh Green, I think.
I would think, yeah.
He would probably hit those open threes. And, when I saw Josh Green out there missing these open threes, he didn't play much his rookie year last year. So Kid is kind of like the one trying to instill confidence in him. So I could see the same thing.
It's a tough spot because did you notice they were just like giving them to him? Like his man
definitely
specifically like made it known, hey, I'm not guarding you. You can go wherever you want on the floor. I'm the double guy when I'm on you.
Yeah.
For a kid
I would
struggling
too.
with confidence, I don't know if that's a good spot to put him in.
No, yeah, I would too. I would leave Josh Green open too, and this coming from a Mavs fan. Like I'll let him beat me. It's like kind of like what Tyler said, let Royce O'Neal beat you, right? Like leave the guys open, let them hit the big shots, and if they do, they do, and then if they don't, they don't. But yeah, I'm with you here on the Mavs +5. From a DFS perspective, it's kind of the same situation that we have on Saturday. The prices didn't move that much for each person on each side. So obviously Dallas side, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, they're going to be great plays at 7.2 and 6.6. Obviously one of them is always going to have the ball in their hands trying to make plays. And arguably they played bad. Spencer Dinwiddie, like he hit value. He had a little flame emoji on Saturday, but he missed 6 free throws. And you take those 6, he was saying in the post-game press conference, if he hits those 6 free throws, the game is completely different.
Yep.
Yeah, the game is completely different. Instead of the Mavs fouling the Jazz to get back into the game or shooting shots to try to get back into it, maybe they're ahead in the last stretch and then they're the ones getting fouled and stuff like that. So Spencer Dinwiddie was definitely down on himself at the end of last game. And, he was like, I can play better. And Jalen Brunson, who's one of like the most efficient guys that are in the league, shooting 50% from the field, he had himself a bad game as well. And so I think they're going to come back with good performances. And then, as far as this, like the secondary pieces, Maxi Kleber's cheap, but he always comes with he's always chalk, and you don't know if he's going to get there most of the time. So I think I'll stay away from Maxi. And then, I do think if the Mavs win, I think one of Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock is going to go off. Like they're both playing 40+ minutes, and they're one of the 2 guys that really need to be hitting their open shots. So those would be my interests from the Dallas side. And then, of course, on the Utah side, Donovan Mitchell. I think anytime you have a guy that shoots 30 times in a game, you can't ignore that in DFS, right? Mm-hmm. And, he had like the worst first half performance. There was tweets like Luka has 2 less points than Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. And I was like, that's pretty funny. But a guy like him, he's just going to keep chucking, right? And in DFS, that's what you want. You want usage and you want shot opportunities. You don't want the guy that's sitting in the corner just waiting for a shot, right? And so obviously Donovan Mitchell is in play. And then Bojan Bogdanovic would be my second favorite option. His price didn't move much at all. 5.7 on
It's
DK.
his birthday today. I don't know if you guys
33,
put that in Saver Sim. Is there a birthday adjustment?
Yeah. I think Mangone messaged me. He was like, "Yep, we got a narrative in the game." And I know Mangone. Speaking of Mangone, he's on the Jazz -5. We have a little wager on the side, so we're on opposite sides here. But yeah, I think that would be my interest. It's the same as Saturday, right? Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, one of Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock. And then on the Jazz side, it's Donovan Mitchell, Bojan. And then if you think the Mavs make a more concerted effort to stop Bojan this game, it could be a good game from Mike Conley, who I actually caught on Saturday. He did okay. He hit value, but he didn't crush. So on these playoff slates where value, you're kind of starved. What I've noticed is you kind of accept these like mid-range guys and kind of hope that they just get there for you, right? Because there's so little value on these playoff slates. And like, for example, Saturday, Maxi Kleber was like one of the only value options, right? He only scored like 10 or 14 fantasy points. If those value guys don't get there, then a stud build like with Jokic and Embiid, it like your mid-tier build will win you out. Like on Saturday, Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, they nuked, right? And then your value kind of failed. So that led to people like Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid not being on the winner. So just something to keep in mind tonight, when you're building your lineup, if there's not that strong a value, you can always go to a mid-tier build because those mid-tier guys, they're gonna play the minutes, right? It's just, and it doesn't take much for them to get there. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I've been saying it on all our shows with the guest Glock that the guys that play cash games all year and they're used to building those mid-tier options, right? And they're more comfortable just in the middle, kind of have an advantage here because, unless you get a late scratch, stars and scrubs becomes a lot less viable. So Tyler, Glock and I both are going back to the well with the Mavericks. Are you joining us or are we just a couple of Homer Simpsons? What do you think?
No, I mean, +5, I could definitely see the game staying close. I think the Jazz still win it, though, in the end. I mean, it's just going to be one of them things where, like, Dallas gets down to the end of the game, and if they're not winning and it's tight, it's going to be like, all right, now who takes this shot? Like, who sets up the offense? Yeah, it'll probably be Dinwiddie. But then, like, once the ball starts moving around, everyone panics and no one wants to shoot it because no one's the star out there. So that's my only worry there. The total seems a bit short, but they're going to play very good defensive ball again. I see some guys in the chat like Rudy Gobert tonight. I like his under on his points, rebounds, and assists at 30.5. You look at his stats versus Dallas this year. He's only ever taken his highest field goal attempts against them this year is 6. So he's maxed out at 12 points unless you factor in his free throws. So now you need up to 20 rebounds from him to get over that number, and I just don't see it happening. And he's averaging.
You don't think after all the press they make a little concerted effort to get him some shots?
I think Dallas has the defensive scheme to slow him down, though. So I don't think he can even get those shots unless they're lobs to the inside. So I think I like the under on that 30.5. But I think Utah definitely picks up the win.
Okay. Glock, give me your dog's Twitter. I'll send him a link next time since the dog wants to be on the show every time you come on.
Every time, I swear. Every time.
We'll go to the 4 box so the dog can start giving out a couple winners too. So, all right. That was a great breakdown there, Tyler. Tyler's going under on Rudy. And I heard a little bit of love for Rudy on the shows on Saturday. It's so funny. I was just thinking, if you put Maxi Kleber in your core, Big T is going to tilt because there was about 10 on the Saturday show, probably 10 good minutes of Maxi Kleber slander. And at first I tuned in a little late. I said, are they talking about Tyrese Maxey? Like, why are they so anti-Tyrese Maxey? Realized it was Maxi Kleber that they weren't happy with.
There's a history there, spread that Maxi Kleber costed him a ton of money in the NBA Live final on DraftKings this year. Yeah, there's some history there for sure.
Okay, yeah, I tuned in a little late. So, but what do you agree with Tyler that maybe Gobert's a fade on tonight's slate?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think in the press conference of post game, someone asked him, like, you only had one field goal attempt. Would you like more? And then, kind of being like the Utah Divas, they kind of always like, yeah, of course I'd want more attempts, but I'm just doing whatever it takes, to help the team win. And, if the Mavs keep the same defensive philosophy where, they're really fronting him and not letting him get the ball for lobs and stuff like that. Yeah, I think he's an easy fade. And if you watch the first quarter, you wouldn't think so of last game because the Mavs were bricking everything and he was getting every rebound. I think he had like 10 rebounds in the first or something and only ended up with like 15. I feel like he had a ton of rebounds. So it's like, I get it. I'm going to fade Gobert. I mean, I think you're going to want to go to a center like Precious Achiuwa and then, Chris Boucher, someone like that on this slate, and then maybe pair it with like a Jokic or an Embiid. I think that's my route right now at this moment. And yeah, like you see Andrew G in the chat, Mavs might have taken their best shot without Luka game one.
They might have. That's where it's rough, right? To see. So, You know what? Against another team, I would have felt that way. But it's just like, dude, I'm just so eager to fade Utah. I'm so down on this team. Their stars don't like each other. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Let's knock them out of the playoffs. Let's let them split up, and then give me that like Nas versus Jay-Z style battle. Because when these two come out and they're not on the same team anymore, I'll bet you we're going to hear. It's going to be, one of the, I don't know about 30 for 30, right? But all those podcasts, they're going to have a great time detailing this because these guys don't like each other. And I bet you there's so much stuff. I mean, it's like, what was the joke? They go, oh, but they eat lunch together sometimes.
Yeah. And we covered that on Friday, right? Spread. Like, that's what makes me upset about this series not having Luka so far, because if we had him from the jump, the Mavs could capitalize and just, make a ticking time bomb explode. But now that Luka is doubtful for this game, missed the first game, it's like they're gaining confidence, right? They won game one, especially if they go up 2-0 going home. Like their confidence will be sky high despite how much they may not like each other. So that's what disappoints me about this series.
If Utah wins tonight, but Luka comes back game 3, do you think the Mavericks win this series, Glock?
Oh, man, it's going to be tough. But one thing I will say, last year against the Clippers, the home team did not win a game until game 7.
That was one of the weirdest series ever, right?
It was a very strange series. So the Mavs, they're equipped to win on the road. So I wouldn't say they're completely out of it, but you definitely don't want to go down 0-2 to, when you have home court. So yeah, I'll definitely be down if they lose this game. I think they're going to treat it as a must win, without Luka. They need to split this going into Utah, hostile environment. So, and then last year, I think the Clippers, there was no crowd in LA. So that might have,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
We the people is going contrarian again here. Yeah, man. I was hoping the Mavericks would be like the guillotine for this sickly team, man, and just chop the head off. Let's break it up, man. I mean, I don't know. It's rough for me because I think both players are likable, but they obviously don't like each other, and it just makes it unenjoyable to watch. I mean, I like watching these other guys like Cat and D'Lo. Like they really like each other. A1 and D'Lo, like John Morant seems to really get along with his teammates. Well, they love each other in Golden State, right? So it makes it harder to root for them when they don't really like.
It's all right, Spread. If they win, they get to play Phoenix, and that's your guillotine right there, right?
Yeah. Hey, I know, huh? 4-0 each game by 20 plus. If he's still mad about that, man, I won't even say it, but if he's still mad about that, he should be bumping some Tom Petty. Tyler, anything more?
I just think they don't like each other. I
think it was before that.
Yeah, I think there was just a rift between them before, and then it just got worse and worse.
Well, I think the French players also have that. I think even in Europe, right? Like France is different than all of the rest of Europe. I think that when French players come in, it's a little different, right? And I don't know how much that is. So, all right. Anything more on this one, Tyler? Are we ready to move on?
Nope, that's it for me on that one.
All right. Our final game of the night. Golden State Warriors are -7 at home against the Denver Nuggets. Total is 222 plus 244 for the Nuggets on the money line. Tyler, that was my lone victory on Saturday, right? I like the Warriors there. Denver's a great team. You know how much I love Jokic, but we talked about it before. If you're ranking the players, you put Jokic number 1, and then the Warriors have the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. I mean, when do we put the Nuggets back in this situation, right? Is Aaron Gordon the 7th best player on the court, right? I think it's too much. Basketball is not one-on-one. Although I swear half these fans on NBA Twitter would rather just watch a one-on-one tournament because they only want to talk about players. They don't want to talk about teams. Golden State's the way better team. I understand the Nuggets have a chance to bounce back, but I almost think it's going to be like the Toronto situation. Golden State gets another easy win, and then we look to back Denver in game 3 when they go back home. But to me, I would not be surprised if Golden State just runs it already. I think one thing that's being really underrated is their ability to defend with Draymond Green back in the lineup. Clay's not the defender he once was, but between him and Poole, that scoring backcourt is just too much. And then you have Wiggins and Dre who can really shut down wings. And Looney did okay against him. Draymond was the help defender. It was just too much, man. Other than like just a terrible shooting performance, but it just seems like they have so many guys they can ride the hot hand. They can absorb one guy having a bad night. So I like the Warriors to cover again. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Warriors smash them again. I mean, just like you said, they figured out the defensive scheme pretty early. Jokic did pretty bad against Draymond, which he could have a big game, but I just don't see any of the other guys on this team being able to score against the Warriors. I mean, some of their defenders on the perimeter are just going to lock guys like Monty Morris and these guys down. So, like, unless Jeff Green or Aaron Gordon pops off, which it's possible, but I'm not going to back it, I got to take the Warriors here. I mean, we talk about wings killing this Denver team too. I mean, Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, like they're just going to light them up again. And if they're going to bring Steph off the bench again, which I think they might, he's just going to play the bench unit again. He shot 5 for 13 last game and put up 16 points. That shooting percentage gets better spread. They're going to blow this team out of the water. I mean, he's just going to cook that second unit. So definitely going to they have a 20 plus on him and win at plus 132. I like that. I like We the People's calling the 4+3s on Poole and win. And then I like 25 plus points on Poole and win and 25 plus on Curry and win. All right around like plus 250.
Yeah. I mean, he calls it a supporting cast. I'd say it's like a supporting splint or like, just a Band-Aid. I mean, he's not getting very much there. So Glock, we both like the Warriors. Are we being square? Are you going to bring us back to reality and let us know why the Denver Nuggets are the right side?
No, I mean, I think you guys are definitely on the right side. We covered it Friday and we covered it earlier in the show. It's like the playoffs, you're going to knock out, you're going to eliminate your number one option, right? And then it's up to the second and third guys to beat you. And on Friday, we said, do we really think Aaron Gordon and Will Barton can, beat the Warriors? And my answer was no. And it still continues to be this way. I think like from a fantasy perspective, Nikola Jokic is probably the only one that I would consider. But even then, like they did a really good job defending him that first game. And I just see more of the same here. Right. And then, from the Warriors side, I think Draymond is definitely my favorite option. We're on him heavy on Saturday. I think every coordinator had Draymond in the core. He's just so like, he does everything for their offense, right? Scores a little bit, rebounds a little bit, assists a little bit. And I think he's too cheap at 6'5". And then where it gets murky is, that whole Steph Curry situation, right? Like him coming off the bench on that minutes limit, Jordan Poole starting, and obviously Jordan Poole went off on Saturday. But it's like you always have that wrench where Steph Curry could get hot, then Jordan Poole gets, get pulled from the rotation. So I think I'm going to stay away from the guards personally on Golden State and just focus on Draymond. Pretty simple game for me. Yeah, Draymond and then Nikola Jokic from the Denver side. And then I think an interesting value option potentially is Jeff Green, as like a pivot to Maxi Kleber if that fits into your build. I think Jeff Green could get more minutes here. They need the offense, right? They need people that can shoot from the three. So Jeff Green could get more minutes here, sit outside on three, get hot, maybe help Denver cover or something like that. But I think we could see more minutes from him just because he's a better outside shooter and he's a vet, right? So Malone can ride him. He's already in the starting lineup. I think those would be my considerations personally. Nikola Jokic, Jeff Green, and then from the Golden State side, Draymond. Definitely from a DFS perspective, though, my focus is going to be on the first two games for sure. Toronto, the Dallas Guards, and then maybe just one or two pieces at the most from this last game.
All right, and our guy Richie Smalls is in the chat, and I want to thank Richie. He always reminds everyone to hit that like button. So, hey, guys, be smart. Listen to Richie. Hit the like. He wants to know how many minutes are you projecting for Curry tonight? Because I think that's kind of one of the fun things you can do with the SaberSim tool, right, is adjust those projections. So if you think that he gets a little more, right, you can get a little different from the field. Yeah. How are you approaching that when you're setting up your projections?
Yeah, so I think it's tough to really know unless he starts, right? Obviously, last game he didn't start, and then there was a report that he was going to play the last 6 minutes of every quarter. So you add that up, 24 minutes, right? Played around there. I don't have the box score up, but I think he played around there. I don't think there was a Golden State starter that played over 30 minutes. So If I were to project him, I would think 27 minutes, 28. Nothing higher than 30.
Okay.
And like we said, I think Golden State handles business, and there's not going to be a need for Curry to play 30 plus. So that's where I would have him at.
Do you think he's appropriately priced?
No, I think he's too overpriced. When you're coming off the bench, you don't want to pay 9-1 for a guy, right? So I think he's too overpriced.
All right. Anything more from this one, Tyler, or do we want to get to Gregory Russo's favorite segment?
No, we can get to the best bet section.
All right. Start with you. Do you got one for us?
I'm going to take that Tyrese Maxey over 22.5 points plus assist. I think he's still going to be able to have himself a decent game versus Toronto tonight.
All right. Like that. Glock, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go down with the ship. Dallas +5.
That's my one too, and we're going to give a bonus.
You going to sprinkle the money line?
No, I won't sprinkle the money line because, I want to leave myself those 5 points buffer just in case they lose. I don't want to be double heartbroken, Tyler. But, yeah, I think the last time me and Spread were on a bet together, it was on Friday. We were on Atlanta -2, right? And then it worked out. So,
yeah,
should be good.
Let's get it back tonight, dude. And you have a party in your city tonight. Hey, I skipped over this. This is a great point. This total opened at 217 for game one. It's 206 now. Tyler, what do you think of that as far as this Utah-Dallas game going over? I like to really go against some of these crazy line movements. Did you see something in that 99-93 game that makes you think that under is still the right play? Or do I say, hey, this is 11 points off what we originally projected. It's probably going to become closer to the projections because, big gold buildings, beautiful things everywhere, right? It's because they're pretty good at projecting these games. What do you think on that total, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going to go with We the People. I think that number is spot on.
At 206?
Yeah.
So you think the market correction was correct?
Yeah, it seems like because both teams play pretty good defense. Like if Rudy Gobert is able to just hang out in the paint and roam, like Dallas can't score anything at the rim. If the threes aren't falling, they aren't scoring points. And Utah goes into these laps where they just can't score points either. So it could look like one of them things going into the fourth quarter, you look good, and then it's like a 17-20 scoring quarter and you go under by 5 points. So I'm going to stay away from that total.
All right. We the People, he's doing great in the chat. We'll give out his play. He said pool 4+ threes is his best. Yeah, Gregory Russo, it's best. And I'm joining you. Glock, let's go down with the ship, man. We're not overreacting here on the NBA rundown. We're going with our original handicap, even without Luka Doncic. Dallas has the strong team, the commitment to defense to go ahead and keep this game close. Hey, maybe the pressure's off after losing game one, right? Maybe they're just like, hey, can't get any worse than the last game, right? I missed a wide open three in front of everybody. My grandma's not calling me back, right? None of my girlfriends want to hit me up, right? Can't get any worse than this. Maybe they sink some of those shots last time because that was a rough beat because I felt that we had properly handicapped the game, went against the grain, right? And found a good team with good underdog value, and the bet did not get home. So I'm happy to be on the Mavericks with you. But Tyler, as much as the people like me, as much as the people like Glockoma, you know what they really like is these parlays that you give out. I assume you mean Tyler's, right? Yeah, Tyler's big money parlay. Do you have one for us, or is that going to be a Discord thing today?
No, I put one together. In that first game, we're going to take James Harden 12+ assists and Philly win. I know it seems like a pretty high number. He went over it in the first game, and he just dishes the ball out in Philly. So he could easily clear that number, and I think they win the game.
That's a great pick.
We're going to go Steph Curry over 20+ points and Golden State wins. I think they win the game easily. Mm-hmm. He should torch that bench unit. 5 for 13 shooting in his first game back. Got a 16. Shoots a little bit better. I think he clears that 20. Now the tough one, this is why I asked Glock if he was going to sprinkle that money line because we're going to have it in this parlay. Dinwiddie 8+ assists and Dallas wins. He's going to play the point guard role. He's going to dish the ball. He had 8 last game. If one of these guys catches fire, Bullock, Smith, Brunson, he's just going to keep dishing them the ball. So definitely like that. And that gets us 39-1.
All right. I love it, Tyler. And the people love that too. So thank you for putting that together for us, guys. But if you're in the Discord, that's not all Tyler does. He usually drops the same game parlay for almost every single one, right? So we'll be hanging out. We'll watch the first game, tilt a little bit. Sometimes I stay out because my tilting can get bad sometimes. But, Tyler's usually putting one in. Hey, hey, this week either good for us, let's keep it going, or hey, this one didn't go good. Here's the same game parlay for the next one. So of course, Run Pure Sports members are getting not only the one that we give out on the show, but he usually cooks up one for each individual game. So if you want to take part of that, remember runpuresports.com, promo code GETBETS to become a member, join all the fun, and of course get access to Glaucoma's and the rest of the team's core. The Up to Lock show behind the paywall now. So if you want to catch the guys there, you're going to have to become a member. Promo code GetBets. Glock, great content this week coming from you. Let them know what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be on Up to Lock Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then you'll have your normal guys. I think going forward, I'm going to be on the cores, K Fallick, Big T, JSU, AP, while the other guys are full time on MLB. So I think that'll be like your NBA team going forward throughout the playoffs. So I'm excited. It's been a great start so far to the playoffs, and excited to see more games and more great games like the Boston and Brooklyn game for sure.
All right. Yeah. Let's hope Maxi Kleber has a big night so we can get some great content out of Big T if he breaks the slate tonight. All right. That's it. Tyler, any words of wisdom before I sign off?
I mean, you already know the answer to that question. Spread, I ain't got nothing.
Run.